Hey there, everybody. Okay, so let's talk about the Yamas and how they can help us create our vision board. This is an activity that we did at our most recent retreat, and folks really responded to it. So I decided to do one online for all the people that weren't able to get away. So we'll see how this goes. Essentially, the Yamas break down to restraints, and that is the interplay that we have between ourselves and those around us. More communal in nature, if you will. And so how we interact with society, how we allow society to interact with us, and that sort of thing is going to set the foundation for this vision board. So commonly in a vision board activity, we hear, okay, what do I want? How do I want it to look? What do I need to have happen? And it almost implies that we're in this all on our own, and it doesn't have anything to do with other people. And so this is one of the reasons why I invite the idea of Yamas to prepare for the vision board activity, because oftentimes, one, everything we need is already there. It's just a matter of manifesting it, right? And another layer of that is commonly the people that you want to be in the field for that experience is creating time and space for those relationships, and oftentimes can bring you to where you want to be. So it's quite lovely in the give and take between people. So just to kind of recap what the Yamas are, and I'll list them off for you. The first one is ahimsa, and that means nonviolence. So when we think about nonviolence, obviously it's like don't go up and like backhand somebody, right? We all know that. We were taught that in kindergarten. Most of these lessons we were taught in kindergarten, but then how do we translate them to adult life? So part of that is the thoughts we think about others and ourselves that are just harming in nature. And if, for example, you walk past the mirror and you look at yourself and you're like, oh my God, I look terrible today, right? Like that's in violation of ahimsa. And so the invitation is really to think thoughts more of love. And when you deviate from that, have some grace for yourself from when you deviate from that, because we're still all in it for the human experience, The second one is satya, and that's truthfulness. And there's an interplay between these two ideas. So ahimsa comes first. So given a choice between nonviolence and truthfulness, we pick nonviolence first. But then after that is truthfulness, and sharing's one message. So this might mean a little discipline in how we go about sharing what is our truth to somebody else. Maybe the words that we choose, the tones, the reflections that we use, the body language that we give when we're trying to share our truth. And I'm all for sharing the truth. I honestly believe that it's so essential to share your message with the world. I spend my life trying to share my message with the people. And commonly my message isn't even only mine, but those around me, and the people, the fields that are around me as well. So for the people that are in my life, and as they impact me, trying to share those messages as how I have personally been able to find them to be useful and so on. So I hope that these are kind of some foundational ideas that is driving the bus towards where we're trying to go for this particular vision board exercise. The next one is asteya, and it's non-stealing. So obviously don't rob a bank, right? We know that. We know not to do that. But outside of that, beyond that is also, in the example I commonly use, is time. So if you're running late, you're always running late, there's somebody else on the other side of an appointment waiting on you that's actually stealing their time, because they could be doing something else of their choice while they're sitting there waiting on you. And of course, there's boundary issues, like people choose to be the one to sit there and wait on someone who's always late. So there's that. But that's for another day. So for right now, we're thinking about asteya and stealing. Stealing time is a big one in relative to this particular workshop that we're doing. The next one is brahmacharya, and traditionally has always been known as like chastity, and that's not such a hit these days in general. So, I think it's okay to take concepts and make them relevant to the culture that you live in. So since chastity probably isn't going to be a great sell, what if we take that idea and translate it over to non-excess, right? So, and this is often the one that I zoom in on because it's fine to have sexual relations, but it might not be so fine to have excessive sexual relations, right? Same thing, fill in the blank with any of the other things we love, whether it's food or drinking or video games or whatever it is you love to do, social media, anything it seems in excess can get a practitioner in trouble and keep them a little further away from bliss than where they want to go, and often away from what they want to do and what can be found on their vision board. So we want to keep things in moderation, and this is a fundamental teaching, that we talk about in yoga, that I feel if I could only just pick one and that's all I got, this would be the one I chose, because most folks I know, the majority of their problems are being invited in by some layer of excess, whatever that might be. So that's just my 2 cents, right? That's my take on it. From there, we have aparigraha, and this is non-covetousness. So if we get a shiny new car and we're all excited and we go get our car and we bring it home and everything's great, we look over and our neighbor got a shiny new car that's nicer than the one that we got, that is really in violation of one of the yamas. It's looking to see what other people who have and comparing what they have compared to what you have. And we don't really want to do that. That's not going to bring us any closer to bliss or joy. It's actually going to rob us of bliss and joy. And things like envy, jealousy, coveting, all of those things in the interplay between your own gifts and talents and assets and who you are and the way you look and the way you live and all of that, that's exclusive to you. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. So one thing we commonly talk about in yoga is just staying on your own mat. And so even from a physical practice point of view, that, if you're on your mat and you've got your practice, it doesn't really matter what anybody else is doing. This is you and your experience, and you're invited to take it to whatever level feels good for you based on what you need that day. And, understanding that it's very individual in nature, that's completely fine. And we want to embrace that. So those are just some broad strokes ideas on the yamas, and you can certainly get more information about them. But I hope that provides a template for our next piece of our conversation. I've got notes and everything for you guys. Look at me preparing and planning and so on. Okay, so which brings me to the vision board. Exciting, right? All right, so here's my vision board. To make it, all I needed was some scissors, a poster board, Sharpies, and a glue stick, and some magazines. And that's about it. So you don't need a whole bunch of stuff when you go to create your vision board. The idea behind the vision board, though, is when you're leafing through magazines, is to try and get some magazines that you don't subscribe to. So that's the first thing, is can you get your hands on some magazines that are just completely random? This isn't the magazine you would normally subscribe to. Can you be introduced to some new ideas that are outside of your comfort zone and outside of what you're doing right now, and pull in some maybe new ideas, right? So there's a challenge, right? So get a variety of magazines together. And then from there, I invite you just to flip through the magazines. And if any of the pictures are calling to, just cut it out and set it aside, right? And you can digest it a little later in the process. And that's what the Sharpie is about. But if there's something that just kind of jumps out at you, there's quite likely a reason. And so with that, I suggest cut her out, make a pile. Then when you're done with the pile, don't worry so much about like how your vision board looks. Like I didn't put a ton of time and attention on glitter or rhinestones on this thing. I want it to be a small something that I can hang up and look at every day. And that's available to me. So when things get busy around the holidays and all of a sudden I've got tasks and lists of things to do, I'm not completely neglecting my vision board. And that often runs people into overwhelm and out of joy and bliss. And it's my job to help you find joy and bliss, or at least self-subscribed. That's what I'm trying to do. So just to give you an idea a little bit of what this means and the interplay. I think a big piece of this is this thankful, like being thankful for what you have right out of the gate. So not implying that I don't have enough, I need more, I want to manifest more, and there's pictures of what I want yet on my board, but yet the start point is I'm thankful for everything as is, but I'm open to some new experiences too. So this next one here is I'd like to learn the guitar, right? I've got this vision of getting the band going, right? I don't know why I want to do this because it seems like it's play and it's fun and something I would like to do. Going back to the Yamas and going back to a community way of life, I think that live music is a great way to reach people. And so that might take some tapas, some heat, some discipline to put into play and get done because it's been on my vision board for a couple of years now. I haven't done it yet. But that's okay. So another one I have is be silly. Somewhere in there is like a business owner. I came up with the idea that I had to be serious all the time in order to be respected in my industry. And that wasn't really any fun for me. So I think the big thing is just to allow yourself to be silly, right? Or be whatever it is you want to be, right? Just play, enjoy, more play, more play. Another piece that came up for me is dance. I think that there's that layer of self-expression in dance that's just so incredibly lovely. And I myself I want to dance. I don't even think it matters what it is. Okay, so this one obviously jumped right out at me being a yogi. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to get it, but I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. And then later, after I actually did an EFT tapping exercise with my coach, Nico, and it came up about seeing and trusting. And so this would be seeing things for what they are, at least in that moment of my own reality, and trusting the process. Right? And kind of letting go of the steering wheel a little bit to let life unfold. And I know that you guys have heard me talk about this before about trusting the unfolding of life. And so that's a piece of this and the people that are in your world and how that comes to be. So for me, what else I got? I got foodstuffs, lots of attention on trying to eat clean and taking care of my vessel, right? And not so much for like vanity's sake, although I do love my dresses. I'm not going to deny that. But honestly, I want the healthiest body I can have while I'm in this human experience. And I know that eating clean and exercising and taking care of myself is a huge piece of that. So therefore on my board, because I too falter. Oh, I falter. Anyway, so I would like to venture out of sharing information and take some in. So I'd like to do that in the form of art galleries. So visiting art galleries, maybe even joining like an art gallery meetup or something like that with people who know more about art than I do. I would really love that. There's some key things that jump out at me. Like, I know like Van Gogh's use of white really set him apart. And when painting, I love to paint. When painting, that little extra layer of white in there, and that pop it gives, and understanding where that comes from, and that these influencers of years past teaching us these arts and stuffs, bringing back arts. From here, what else we got? We can do this. This is present. So knowing that you can do anything you put your mind to. I think I might have got a hold of that mantra when I was pretty young. But for me, there's also like a layer of making sure what I want to do is what I want to do. And it's the way I want to do it. And it's not what somebody else wants for me. So that's huge. Okay, so healthy and organic meets delightfully delicious. So while I want to eat healthy, I'm a foodie and I'm not really looking to give up any flavors. So making sure that I can maybe do some maybe food groups or explore more flavors in my cooking. I do my M's health tips and that kind of thing. The interplay of Ayurveda and the role it plays inside of my diet and how it feeds my dosha in a way that helps me live my best life. So again, that's what I'm going for on this particular vision board exercise here. Calendar. Get one, use one. All right. I wrote this in July. It's August, so it's been a month. Still no calendar. Trying. So I did set up my desk area and I cleared a space for the calendar. And I did go to Walgreens and I had hoped that, oh my gosh, I gotta show you. I thought, oh my gosh, they don't have it, so I got to go like to Office Depot or something like that and get one. And I think it's time to put pen to paper because my phone is forever beeping at me and I'm getting notifications all the time, and I collaborate with hundreds of folks per month, so the phone's flashing, the notifications are getting a little watered down, and I think I'm ready to return to a paper calendar for the things I want to make sure that I don't miss, even if just to take the pressure off a little bit. I have a specific goal of see a comedy show 4 times a year. So I love comedy. I love stand-up comedy. I love to laugh. I love the silliness of humanity, like how we take ourselves so seriously. And I think comics do a really, really nice job of that. Like, honestly, let's just all lighten up and have a few laughs together. So that's something that I've always enjoyed doing. I've done it my whole entire life. And, I noticed that I have more joy and an easier time of accepting things that just want to be what they are when I have comedy in my field. So I'd like to do that quarterly. And I think it's important for your vision board to set like at least a couple of these that have a timeline and some sort of like, if you look at it a year from now, it's a very specific goal. I want to go to a comedy show 4 times a year, right? I really like Zanies. They're easy to get to. I don't have to do any city parking or anything else like that. I can, grab a pretzel nearby while I'm over there. Okay. And this is pretty much the sum of what I really wanted to get at. I think the words that were brought up in this vision board exercise, and I wish I could remember who to credit, it was one of the people that were there, said that goals need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So I wrote those things down just to help be somewhat of a guide of what you want to do for your vision board workshop. So if you're going to be coming to the studio and doing the vision board workshop with a slide, 2 thumbs up. If you're going to be doing it from home or this access is, you're not nearby me and you want to do this from home, I hope that all of these tips that I've given you can kind of help launch what it is you want for your best life. The one thing that I would say in closing is I wouldn't worry so much about I want to change everything that I'm doing. Like, notice that most of what I put down here is pretty attainable. So if it's important to me, then they'll remain attainable and find their way into my calendar that I'm going to get right away. And if not, then maybe there's another path for me, and that's okay too. But validating the difference between the two and making sure that you're putting in the time, effort, and work so that you can manifest the stuff that you do come up with this, and making sure that you own that process because it all ends with you. So with that, happy vision boarding. Thanks so much for listening. It was lovely having you, and have a great day.